We live in a world powered by precision, self-driving cars, AI doctors, online universities, and therapy at the tap of a screen. We've come to believe modern transformation was born from the brilliance of minds like Einstein, Newton, or Freud, but what if we've been looking at history through a narrow lens? What if the foundation of our cities, the roots of our healing, and the blueprints of our justice weren't invented a century ago, but thousands of years back? It's easy to believe we are the most advanced civilization until we trace the lines backward, back to temples, fire circles, papyrus scrolls, and ancient voices that whispered truths we are only now beginning to validate with science. This isn't just nostalgia. It's revelation, because in just a moment, we'll uncover the forgotten origins behind 7 systems we use every day, proof that modern life didn't begin with us, it began long before. Point 1. The Egyptian House of Life, Birthplace. Of medical records, circa 1500 BCE, have you ever wondered how hospitals became so structured, so precise? Why, when you walk into a clinic, your symptoms are logged, your charts updated in real time, and specialists rotate in like clockwork? We chalk it up to modern innovation, digital transformation, maybe even credit figures like Hippocrates or Florence Nightingale. But what if the blueprint came from a time long before them? Here's what most people don't know. Over 3,000 years ago, tucked inside the temples of Luxor, Egypt, existed a sacred institution called the House of Life, Parank. It wasn't just a place of worship. It was a medical think tank. Priests, trained as healers, meticulously documented everything: wounds, childbirths, mental imbalances on papyrus scrolls. Every symptom, every remedy, every recovery was written down like divine law. They believed healing wasn't just physical, it was spiritual, emotional, cosmic, and what we now call integrative medicine. They lived it.so while we tap into cloud-based health records today. The truth is, we are standing on the scrolls of those ancient scribes. The House of Life didn't just treat illness, it birthed the very concept of medical documentation as we know it today. The next ancient practice is the 2. Vedic breathwork, the origins of mental health, c. 1500 to 500 BCE. Have you ever wondered why deep breathing can instantly calm your nerves? Or how a simple chant seems to quiet the chaos in your mind? Today, we turn to mindfulness apps, trauma-informed yoga, and cognitive therapies to ease anxiety. Science now tells us breath controls the nervous system, but what if that discovery wasn't new? We often credit modern psychologists or tech startups with bringing mental clarity to the masses. But centuries before a single clinical study, Vedic sages in ancient India had already cracked the code. In sacred temples and forest ashrams, they practiced pranayama, intentional breath control, and mantrastan, rhythmic chanting of sacred sounds. These weren't rituals for relaxation. They were tools for rewiring thought, calming emotion, and aligning body with soul. Rooted in the Rig Veda and the Upanishads, this ancient mental hygiene system managed trauma, sharpened focus, and healed from within. No headset, no subscriptions, just breath, repetition, and stillness. And today, from calm and headspace to PTSD breathwork protocols, we are simply relearning what was once daily discipline. Microphone #3. Roman cities, the blueprint for urban life, c. 500 BCE, 400 CE. Have you ever wondered how cities became so structured, how every street, sewer, and subway seems to work like a giant organism? We often think modern engineering birthed our civic order. Some might credit the Industrial Revolution, or even urban designers like Le Corbusier. But the real blueprint, it was drawn by the Romans more than 2,000 years ago. Rome was already mapping the future. Roads like the Via Appia weren't just paths, they were arteries of the empire. Aqueducts like Aqua Claudia carried fresh water across miles. Sewers like Cloaca Maxima sanitized entire populations. They even had public libraries, fire departments, postal systems, and building codes. It wasn't chaos, it was calculated, standing. In today's New York, London, or Tokyo, it's easy to miss that our civic rhythm, the zoning, the transit, the public squares, echoes decisions made in marble forums centuries ago. Rome didn't just build cities. They built civilization's scaffolding. Point 4. Athenian democracy, the people's voice, c. 508 BCE. Have you ever wondered why we believe in voting, in being heard, in choosing our leaders? Today, we talk about freedom of speech, rights to vote, and civic participation as if they've always belonged to us. We click a button, mark a ballot, or march with placards believing this power was forged by modern revolutions or thinkers like Rousseau, Jefferson, or Lincoln. But what if we told you that the true birthplace of democracy wasn't a constitution, but a rocky hill in ancient Greece? In 508 BCE, in the heart of Athens, everyday male citizens gathered at the PNYX. No presidents, no parties, just people. They voted by raising hands or scratching names into broken pottery, ostraka, sometimes to exile those threatening the city's values. Many falsely assume today's democratic systems were shaped purely by Western modernization. But their bones were laid in the dust of Athens, where civic duty was personal, direct, and public. That raw form of democracy wasn't perfect, but it was bold, and it's the reason we vote today. Point 5. Ubuntu restorative justice, practiced. For millennia, have you ever wondered where the shift from punishment to healing truly began? In our modern world, we see a growing trend: schools using peace circles instead of suspensions, courts allowing victims and offenders to meet face-to-face, communities choosing reconciliation over revenge. We often think this is the fruit of progressive justice reforms or psychological insight, but long before modern courts or conflict mediation programs, there was Ubuntu, an African philosophy rooted in the belief, I am because we are. In tribal communities across southern Africa, like the Zulu and Xhosa, justice didn't mean exile or imprisonment. It meant restoration. Elders would gather everyone, the offender, the harmed, and the entire community in a circle. They spoke. They listened. They healed. Many assume such modern justice systems arose from courtroom innovations, but their spirit was already alive around ancient fires under African skies. Ubuntu didn't just restore balance, it reminded people that no one stands outside the community. Point 6. Mesopotamian clay tablets, birth of writing and banking, circa 3100 BCE. Have you ever wondered how your bank knows every transaction, or how digital ledgers track billions daily without a whisper of confusion? We tap a phone, scan a QR code, or check an app and assume these systems were born from recent tech booms or Silicon Valley brilliance. We often credit modern finance to Wall Street, credit bureaus, or even blockchain innovation, but the roots go deeper, much deeper. Travel back to ancient Sumer, around 3100 BCE, in what is now Iraq. In city-states like Ur and Uruk, traders and temple priests used clay tablets and styluses not for art, but for survival. They recorded livestock, harvests, taxes, and debts. These weren't casual notes, they were official ledgers pressed into wet clay, dried under the sun. Each symbol, each stroke birthed cuneiform, the world's first written script. And with it, the world's first accountants. What many assume came from modern economics was triggered by the humble need to track trust in trade. Our apps, receipts, and even cryptocurrencies still echo that clay, etched not with ink, but with intent. Point 7. Chinese meritocracy, civil exams and intellectual equality, Han Dynasty, c. 206 BCE, 220 CE. Have you ever wondered why we take exams to prove our worth? Why qualifications sometimes matter more than connections? We see university entrance exams, job interviews, government recruiting tests, and believe these systems evolved with democracy or corporate equality movements. Many think it began with Enlightenment ideals or Western bureaucracy, but history paints a different picture. Step into ancient China during the Han Dynasty. There, in dim candlelight, scholars buried themselves in Confucian texts. To serve in government, you didn't need noble birth, you needed knowledge. The imperial examination system tested poetry, ethics, law, and philosophy. It was grueling. Cheating was near impossible. But it gave a peasant boy the chance to serve the emperor, based purely on intellect. This wasn't just a test, it was a revolution. The merit-based model eventually inspired civil services across Europe, and today, your SATs, bar exams, and national tests echo that ancient Chinese faith in talent over tea. Now that we've uncovered the hidden roots behind the systems we depend on today, from modern medicine to democracy, city planning to restorative justice, it becomes clear, our present isn't as modern as we think. Behind every breakthrough lies an ancient blueprint, a forgotten practice that laid the foundation for what we now call progress. Understanding where these transformations truly began doesn't just connect us to our past, it gives us clarity for the future. So now we ask, what else lies buried beneath the surface of modern life? What would you like us to explore next? Drop your thoughts in the comments, your curiosity drives this journey. Because real transformation doesn't start with answers, it starts with asking the right questions. And in the next video, I'll share the 7 questions that changed my life. It might just change yours too. If this opened your eyes to something you never knew, tap that like button and share it with someone who's still in the dark. They deserve to know too. Subscribe to Untold Realities, where we uncover what history left out, one untold truth at a time, because the world you live in was